Hello to all you amazing souls. I'm going to attempt to explain something tonight that may not be the easiest thing to explain because it's really, really quantum, but I'm going to try my best, all right? So, about a year ago, I consciously made a decision to start smoking a cigar a night. It was one of those small, thin cigarillos, one of those organic kinds, which doesn't really mean anything, but it was a conscious choice that at the end of my day, I would have one a night. And I only did this for 1 month, all right? So I tend to explore with spirituality a lot, and never with psychedelics or ayahuasca or anything. But if, for instance, I don't chew gum, I will try to chew gum, and as I'm connecting to chewing gum, because people are doing it for a reason, they get something from that. Some people may do it because they're stressed, some people may do it because they get benefits from it energetically. And I will always connect to the benefit. So I'll take a gum and I'm like, what do people get from this energetically? And then I'll connect to that collective of thought forms, meaning the gum is acting as a key code to enter a different dimension or a different realm. I hope that makes sense. And then as I'm chewing it, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm feeling some of my masculine energy kick in. All right, let's integrate that. Let's connect with that. You don't have to do anything to connect with these different energies. You could just utilize your imagination. You can unleash your inner dragon and then see yourself in the astrals spitting fire. You can envision yourself walking on water as you go for a walk, and that's going to connect you to a completely different frequency bandwidth. It's going to feel like a thin energy, like you're just rhythmically flowing. You can envision yourself to be a king walking through the street or a queen, and she has her trident or her scepter, and she's extremely powerful, and she imagined that there's lightning around her. And why we do this is so that we can activate the DNA that a queen has, meaning the royal energies of a queen, or the dragon energies, because DNA spans throughout all planetary life forms. It spans throughout humanity. It spans throughout everything that ever was, is, and will be. So when you connect to these different envisionments, you're actually activating that particular DNA within yourself, because the entire universe lies within you. So if you're connecting to a dragon, it's almost like a tube connects you to that dragon, and then you're able to start bringing in that energy of the dragon through visions, through the different informations that are ushering in to your mind, and then you can integrate them within. So you're activating that dragon code within you. All right, so I can touch on this more another time and elaborate on this topic, but I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the smoking. So I did this not because I needed to or because I was stressed. I was choosing it. It was not choosing me. In life, anytime that something is choosing you and you're having to do it, it means that there's an unhealthy entanglement there. So there's an unconscious patterning or subconscious programming that you're running that is influencing you into doing that activity. And so you're quote unquote a slave to that particular pattern, which again, there's no judgment there, you're just exploring. And if we did just see ourselves as explorers, exploring different dimensions, exploring different realms of thought, then we would never judge the experience. We would pull the blanket of judgment off of everything that we delve into. So for me, I always loved the whole smoking thing. Yeah, I connect to my past lives as a shaman, and so on. And so when I did it, it was more of a delicacy, not something that I was doing out of stress. And then, like everything I do in life, I always program the energy or the action with an intention. So I would take a puff, and then I would imagine that as I exhale the smoke, I'm sending all these little fairies or all these little beings out on missions. Or I would take a puff and look directly at whatever I was looking at, like a focal point, as if I'm looking at something directly in the face, piercing through it, which would activate my inner lion. All right, so I can get into all that too another time, but there's a point to this whole video, and that's what I'm going to share right now, and hopefully you will gain a better understanding as to how dimensions work. Okay? So for the first few weeks, I was fine. I was doing it. It was great. It was enjoyable. It was the little thing that I look forward to at night. Within a couple of weeks, I started feeling, or within a week after that, I started feeling, or hearing, I should say, all of these intrusive thoughts. They were like bombarding my mind with all these different visions and thoughts. Now, the good news is, because it was a conscious choice that I was smoking, I was able to be like Inspector Gadget, take out my magnifying glass and observe these thoughts, because that was a big reason as to why I started doing it. Because like everything, when you're chewing the gum or when you're going on a walk and you're setting these intentions and then you're examining the energies that you're drawing in through that visualization and then integrating it if it is for your highest good, integrating it if it's empowering you, then that's why I was doing it. So here I am throughout the day getting bombarded with all these thoughts. Now, granted, one cigarello or whatever lasts 5 minutes, 7 minutes max. But throughout the day, I started getting barraged with all these intrusive thoughts. And these thoughts were saying things like, you're going to get cancer. You're going to get cancer. You're going to get cancer. Now, because I was in the space of the witness, of the observer, and I don't internalize much because I've learned how to connect into the 0 point field, which is the space of observance, I was able to then see and dissect how the entire collective of smokers function and what they think about. Because when you become part of a collective, so let's say you smoke weed, you've entered the gate, like the weed is a key to enter a different dimension of thoughts, a different dimension of emotions, and in a way you initiate yourself into that gang. It's like a gang. That's the best way I can explain it. There's nothing wrong with that, so I just want to be clear in everything that I'm sharing tonight. There's nothing wrong with that, but what's going to happen is that you're no longer alone in your mind. You're not alone in your mind anymore. You're now interlocked together with other thought forms, which you can call beings, or you can call them energies that people have generated when they started smoking weed, ranging from the scale of the paranoia, all the people who are paranoid when they smoke, and all the people who are blissful when they smoke. So what's going to happen is you're going to get flooded with all these different thought forms, depending on where you're vibrating. So if you're operating from fear, you may get the paranoid thoughts. If you're vibrating from joy, you may get the blissful thoughts. Now, what came clear to me, and granted, I consider myself to be pretty impervious to negative thoughts or that, because I'm very good at studying these things and analyzing these things. But I kept getting this message of, you're going to get cancer, you're going to get cancer. And then I would get other thoughts, which again, these thoughts were not mine. I was just observing them. Other thoughts like, oh, well, if we get cancer, we'll deal with it. I was getting other thoughts like, if you're able to fight these thoughts off, meaning look at them with your third eye and cast them away, then you will never get cancer because you'll become king of that realm. I hope that makes sense. So it's not necessarily that you're going to get cancer if you smoke. What it is that you're going to interface with a lot of entities, energies, thought forms, beliefs that originate back to the 1700s or 1800s when people were smoking. It spans throughout time. So I'm getting all this huge range of thoughts. And one of them is saying, well, keep doing it and enjoying it and shake these energies off, look at them in the face and tell them that they're not welcome here. And my spirit guides were saying, if you do that, you'll actually get stronger spiritually. You'll get stronger spiritually, not that you need that, but like anything in life, what's so wonderful about the universe is it gives us plenty of options as to how to evolve spiritually. So if a woman is, say, in an abusive relationship, she can grow within that relationship, even though she shouldn't necessarily be in that relationship, by standing up for herself, by speaking her truth, by saying, no, this is not okay. And then she slowly but surely raises her frequency and reconnects to the truth of who she is. And then the abuser at that point would have to acclimate to her new frequency and shift with her, or he would feel threatened by that and then flee. So my point is, I'm not a smoker. I don't have an addictive personality. So the wise thing to do, the sensible thing to do, is to not smoke at all, obviously, because then you're not subjecting yourself to all these different thought forms and parasitic energies. But they were sharing, oh, I got so many downloads in that 1 month period of like, yeah, Phil, you won't get cancer if you're able to fight these thoughts off and look at them in the face and tell them that you see them. They're going to leave you alone. Now, this is going deeper, and I'm sharing this because my guides are showing me that it's going to help people understand how when you make a alliance with a habit, when you make an alliance with a person, when you make an alliance with a behavior, anything, all right, it can be a person, it can be a habit, anything that you do, you are now residing within that frequency band, and all the thoughts that exist within that radio station are going to flock to you because your antenna is now picking up on all the thoughts within that collective, within that gang. All right. A lot of the reason why people have a hard time smoking is because the gang is saying, well, it's like the mafia, right? If you leave, we're going to come get you. We're going to come, something bad's going to happen. So unconsciously, they remain encapsulated in that because they've already made an agreement at an unconscious level with all these thoughts that make them feel like they belong, like with these thoughts that make them feel like the cigarette is their friend, and so on and so on. So many downloads came a year ago when I was smoking for that month. And I went deeper into it. And I thought to myself, well, these must be my angels speaking to me. Because if they were demons, they will be like wolves in sheep's clothing, presenting themselves as angels, but when really they're demons. And they would be like, hey, keep smoking, you're good. Nothing's going to happen to you. Nothing's going to happen. You're good. You're good. Demons would want you to do that so that they can eventually give you the cancer. My angels were screaming in my ear saying, Phil, you have entrenched yourself into this gang and we need you out of here. So they kept telling me, if you stay in this, you're probably going to get cancer. All right. Now, I didn't necessarily believe that, but because the voice was so loud, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to keep doing it, obviously, because if it was a demon, it would encourage me to keep smoking. But if it's an angel, it wouldn't say you're going to get cancer. I'm sorry, if it was a demon, it's not going to say you're going to get cancer. It's going to say, keep doing it, everything is cool, and then you'll get cancer. But if it's an angel, they were saying, Phil, like, stop doing this because you might get cancer. More downloads came after that, all right? So I got all these streams of information. The other information that I got was a lot of the cancer that people get is actually sold through the airwaves. They're selling it like hotcakes through the airwaves. Now, have you ever walked by someone on the street, or you're observing someone who's walking and they look to the left or they look to the right for no reason? Like, there's no reason. What it is that they're picking up on a thought or an energy that's making them look there. And they're not aware that in that moment there's a thought that's reigning over them, that's governing them. So the download I got, I know this is profound, you guys, it's a lot, but hopefully I'm making sense. The download I got was, if someone is receiving thoughts that are vampiric, that are demonic, that are cancerous, okay, within their subconscious mind, and they're not awakened spiritually, then they're going to agree with it. Just like that person who looks to the left, they're making an agreement to look to the left. because subconsciously they're not, because consciously they're not aware of their subconscious. Okay? So if someone's walking around and they're like, and they don't know why they're looking there, that means the thought whispered in their ear and said, look to the right, and they did. So if someone is smoking or anything and they're like, hey, do you want cancer? And they subconsciously agree to that, then they may get the cancer. So what I got was that the cancer was from the cigarette, but it was way deeper than that. The cancer stemmed from these energies that are sold through the airwaves, through the radio waves. And because most people, the majority of humanity, of the population is asleep, they just agree with it. It's kind of like when you have a conversation with someone and you're nodding your head with them when really you're not really in agreement, because it's like your subconscious is just responding to their energy that way. So the conclusion I came to was, obviously we're going to stop doing this. But I have to say that it was very, very illuminating for that month, because I learned a lot. I got to communicate with all these thoughts. I got to see how some people never get cancer because they become queen or king of the realm, and they're completely not a vibrational match to all those cancerous thoughts. And then some people do get the cancer because it wraps up around them like a vine or like a weed. And then they're making all these agreements at a subconscious level or unconscious level with all these entities and parasites that are whispering in their ear to keep them in that habit. Now, this is for other people who may be watching and have gotten cancer. I'm not saying you did anything to get that cancer. There are circumstantial events that take place in life, and that I believe are part of your soul's blueprint. So if no one deserves cancer, all right? So I'm not saying that you got cancer because you made an agreement. I just want to clarify that for anyone who might be listening and has gotten cancer. You didn't do anything to deserve that cancer. It could be that you're supposed to be an inspiration to the community once you overcome it, or it could be that it would pose as a challenge to you to remain positive, and then you would grow spiritually through that by remaining positive and having faith that everything's going to be okay. So this has nothing to do with that group, all right, with the group of people. But this is all to say that the agreements that we make or the habits that we take on, we get initiated into different gangs. And they are all these different factions within the universal mind. The universal mind is vast. So there are all these different cities within the universal mind. And if you smoke, you're going to be part of that collective of smokers. And you are going to subject yourself to all the thoughts. There's nothing wrong with you smoking per se, but that's a choice that you're going to have to make. There's no judgment. But you will be subjugating yourself to a magnitude of thoughts that will mess with your mind, that will scramble your brain. And this also ties in with love. If you're involved with someone who doesn't hold the same value system as you, or who isn't respecting you, but you've made an agreement to be with them, then get ready to receive their thoughts as well, and all the thoughts that branch out from the thoughts they're having. So if anyone is similar to them, all right, if anyone is akin to that train of thought, well, you're also connecting to the subgroups. It's not just one group, you're connecting to the subgroups. It's like all these branches and these extensions. So you're going to be making an agreement with that as well. That's why that saying is like, if you sleep with dog, you're going to wake up with fleas. If you sleep with dog, you're going to wake up with fleas. You are the company you keep is another one. I'm very, very, very selective when it comes to who I hang out with, what I align with. That's why I don't drink a lot. I will have one drink once in a while. I don't do drugs. I don't do any of that, because the more alliances you form with these thought groups, the more likely you are to get bombarded with the thoughts that pertain to that particular collective. So, and sometimes it can be something healthy, like going to the gym, and you start going, and then there are thoughts that whisper, keep going, keep going, keep going, and you start to get obsessive about it. And then all of a sudden working out isn't that healthy because you've made all these agreements with demons that are coercing you into going to the gym every day. And now you've developed an addiction to the gym. So this is not so much about what the activity is. It can be an unhealthy activity, but you're choosing to do it, meaning that it's not choosing you. You're consciously choosing to do it, and nothing will happen to you. Or it can be an activity that is seemingly healthy, and then you develop all these addictions with it, like the gym or like whatever. But if you're someone who has sugar, which I love sugar, be prepared to receive the thoughts or all the other impulses that people have when they have sugar. And if you smoke, be prepared for the same thing. It's just going to be a different thought collective. It's going to be a different realm of energies. And you can grow through it all. That's the good thing. You can get your armor on, all right, and become king of that realm and never be negatively affected. But you will, in a way, get flooded with all the thoughts. So that's just something to keep in mind, not only with people, but with the activities that you choose to engage in. And pick your poisons, right? Like I go to the gym almost every day, and I've battled these thoughts that are like kind of pushing you to go to the gym every day, and I've had to fight them off and oppose them. That has not been an easy journey for me. I've been working on clearing that or absolving myself of that particular gang within the gang for years, and finally I'm feeling some alleviation there, and I'm feeling some healing there. So these things are kind of unavoidable because we have to play in this game called life. But I just wanted to share that perspective. And I'm glad that I did, because I think I did a pretty good job at interpreting this download that I got. It's very, very quantum, but I hopefully did a good job at linearizing it and interpreting it and in translating it for you guys. I hope it helps. Please subscribe, please share, and know that you are loved. And I highly appreciate you guys so much. All right?